Why, hello everyone, and welcome to the stream. This is Otaku Showboat. Today is Thursday, January 12th, 2023. It's been not that long since we last met on Tuesday. I have, of course, done a few things between streams. I've actually done something in the game between streams. I loaded up, I played the game yesterday. Oh boy. And we'll get into that shortly. In fact, you know what? We'll get into it right now. I don't really have too much to talk about from between streams because yesterday I was sort of pretty low energy. I was like really low energy going into the afternoon. We've had AGDQ going. I've had it up most of the time, and yeah, that's been nice having that up, watching that. But yesterday afternoon I just didn't really feel like playing games, just for whatever reason. So instead, I've been continuing to read The Lost Metal here, and I am a little over halfway at this point through this thick book, the apparent last in the second era of the Mistborn series. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, it's nice. I should mention, because I've been talking about it for a little while here as folks come in. I do continue to play Genshin Impact. I have been continuing. I did not at all log in on my alt account yesterday, so yeah, that I'm basically done now. And this morning, I got Raiden Shogun, the character I wanted to get by the end of her banner. I did get her. It was nice. I have her on my main account now. And now I'm basically just going to be saving wishes for a while. There is only one other character when he shows up that I would want of the characters that are currently like in the rotation that we know about. I would like to get Kazuha, just because he's a really good character. I would like to have that one in particular of the ones that I am missing. But outside of that one, at this point, now that I have the Shogun, it's like, well, constellations for ones I have, maybe. Getting additional copies of ones I have, maybe. I don't know. I don't. The ones that I tend to play don't really need to have constellations, but would be better with some. I think at this point I'm saving for either Kazuha or the next region. New characters in the next region, because whatever characters are left in this patch, I have no interest in whatsoever. But yeah, that's that. Just short old update with that. Got the character I want now. Now I have something to do with my main account for a little while as I build that character. So, Factorio, I did a couple things between streams. We'll start with, what did we do last time? Well, last time we met, I set up AUGs. And yeah, right before the stream today, I realized I made a very critical error. I made a rather critical mistake. Actually, a couple of critical mistakes that yeah, sort of broke the whole thing. That I only noticed right before the stream, and no one else noticed these errors. The first error was that there was a box here on this line. It was this box from the copy and paste of this section below. What does that do? Well, that mixes the belt. That mixed the belt between the water barrels and the pups going down the line. So this line broke because it wasn't, it didn't have a single item for each lane. It was a mixed belt. Contaminated? Oh no. So I had to clear that. And up here, you know what ended up happening? I had a splitter here. And up and here as well. If we look over here, yeah, there's a splitter there. And there's a splitter there. And as it turns out, the way that I had arranged this, yeah, these two belts totally are mirrored. The barrels are on the top one, and on the bottom one. So with a splitter there, that also ended up mixing the belts on all of this. So essentially what I discovered was that this whole thing was dead. All of this was dead. And yeah, I had to clear the belts, remove the splitters, and they are back. They are back up and running. This line was fine. There was no problem with the top. That one was fine. So at least I had something moving. But yeah, that was fun to deal with in the minutes before the stream started today. But other than that, last time we met, we also set up fish oil. At least I set up all of the infrastructure for the fish oil, did all the logistics, put the train down, and now I have fish oil. It is available. I've, between streams, brought fish oil down to the mall. I has fish oil now. It's wonderful and glorious. I am officially able to make the gearboxes again, if I have enough of the shafts. I think the limitation here is shafts, this guy, because this recipe is supremely slow. And that also means because I can make the gearboxes now with the fish oil, and of course I could make more logistic spots if I need them. I'm also able to make the mechanical parts again as I need them at the mall. Also, gearboxes, you know, rather important item because they are involved in the production of automated factories. You know, those important things. So, yeah. Hello. Welcome, everyone, because today we're going to be moving on a little bit, ideally. So between streams, outside of just, you know, bringing the fish oil down, what I ended up doing was I have scaled a few things. I have added additional native flora. I know you can't really tell, but I have added 2 more fully compressed, stacked belts of native flora on here. There's only 2 trains running it. This is limited by train throughput, of course. But yeah, just, you know, just arbitrarily another 150 items per second of native flora added on to the train lines, because it was a limiting thing. I still do need to scale up the moss, but now native flora isn't a bottleneck, ideally. And this is a new location for a factory over here. What I have also done is I finally got around to doing this, which is scaling up stone as well as adding a much more sufficient amount of stone bricks to the base. Previously, we did a build where we made stone bricks out of not stone, all the way over here. We made a yellow belt of stone bricks from not stone, and yeah, just basically making it out of nothingness. Just needing a bit of solid fuel to get rid of excess sand from this system. And this makes, you know, up to a belt at a time. Although it looks like there's there's some sort of bottlenecking issue in here, and I don't know what exactly it is. Huh. Oh yeah, that thing. I needed to delete that thing that I had accidentally, and I never did come over to pick it up. That would explain things. However, I had initially set this up as directly loading the stone bricks without stacking them first. So I had to go here and stack it, and then add the stackers to unstack at the mall where they are currently being requested. So I did that, and the other location, this is already stacked. This makes a, fully compressed yellow belt stacked. This is 75. This is 75 items per second of the stone bricks. It's eating 2 lines of stacked stone. Not quite. There are some throughput issues in here. There's some logistics problems. It doesn't work out exactly evenly, fully compressed the way that I have this, because it is, the 2 items here between the stone and the carriage. It doesn't quite do it for whatever reason. It doesn't quite give the full 15 per second of both of them on here. So it's like I need to tack on another thing, another set of mining drills onto the end so I can actually get that full throughput, just overbuild it a little bit to try to overcome some of the limitations on the filtering. It never ends up perfect. And then down here, of course, is all of the all of the carriage voiding. The glorious carriage voiding, which is stacked carriage. Each of these is a line of 40 boilers, because yes, I need 40 boilers to get rid of all of this fuel value, and it will produce a full, 15 per second. It eats 15 per second carriage, and it spits out a little less than 15 per second on the stack dash, because it's not actually consuming exactly 15 on the carriage up here. Since, I need some of it to fuel the burners themselves. So it's whatever the burners use, as well as whatever doesn't get put on the lines from the, logistics limitations up there. And that's how much they will void. But it's built to be able to void a full 15 each line, and there are 6 of them on here. Because I am totally putting 4 compressed stacked belts of stone onto the train network over here to supplement what I previously had way up here, which was not that much, to say the least. I think this is what, half the belt, I think. 7.5 compressed. Not even. This is 30 per second, I think. It's, yeah, this is 30, not even close to 75. This is 75. This should be 75, I think. It's 7.5 each, so 15, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, 5 times 15. Which is 75, and it's awesome. And I came here to get rid of that stupid little thingy. That stupid little thingy that I think I can reach from here. Nope, I can't reach it. I can't pick it up from here. I'm gonna walk over, try to pick up that little sinkhole up there. Mine. There we go. Now this will be full 15. At least it better be. So I have a bit of stone brick. Why do I need a bit more stone brick? Why did I scale these things? It's because I am thinking about my science production, and I have decided at this point that I will produce the sciences that I have already made before on the train network, I will go ahead and do that between streams for, at the very least, the automation science and the Pi Science 1 to get them onto the train network. I will do that off screen. Specifically because I need to wait a little while for more automated factories. I don't actually have enough automated factories to complete these builds. I am going to be doing this for automation science. Yes, you are reading these numbers correctly. I am planning on producing 6 automation science per second, because right now, in the current state, the ratio between automation science, Pi Science 1, logistics science, and then Pi Science 2 is 6 to 3 to 2 to 1. We need 6 automation science for every 3 Pi Science 1 to every 2 logistics science to every 1 Pi Science 2. And we can look at that in here. 6, 3, 2, 1. So that's the production goal going forward here, is to set all that up. And this needed 48 items per second of stone bricks, as well as 60 native flora. Yeah, it's a bit. It's also going to eat 12 small parts. I am making 15 per second in my base currently, on a factory on the train network. I have plenty of ash, and I can very easily scale the ash if I really need to. The 4.8 logs, though, yeah, that I think I may need more logs. I think I may need more at some point. I'm making 15. I'm gonna be clear about this. I'm making a net 15 on the logs right now, so a third of that production is a pretty good chunk. And that's just for the basic science. Pi Science 1 I will need 3 of, and this is going to be the easiest part because I am currently making 7.5 cellulose on my train network. I will be limited by this because of the other uses of cellulose that I'll have as I go forward here, and I will very much be limited by my petri dishes and such. I have factories for these things in here. Just note that in here I'm making 15 agar from, 75 seaweed, which is all of my seaweed production, up to all of my seaweed production. And in here I'm doing 15 petri dishes, which is eating up all of the agar, and I'll need agar for other things besides petri dishes as well. So yeah, it's a bit of overbuilding here compared to my inputs, and I don't know if I even have 15 empty petri dishes to support all of that. But yeah, scaling will need to continue to happen across the base on a lot of things, especially moss. I will need a lot more moss, and I will need more cellulose. The only unfortunate part about the cellulose is that I can't truly scale this until a few more tech levels, I think. At the very least, the next one? Is it the next one? No, of course not. It is chemical science, when we finally get raw fiber and sodium hydroxide for making cellulose. We have to wait for chem science. Great. I'm actually somewhat tempted to use the Yotoi recipe when I get Pi Science 2, because that gives 3. Woohoo, that gives 3. And Yotoi is relatively cheap to get. But yeah, my calculations are based around how much sodium hydroxide I need rather than how much of the other item I need to get into this cellulose at this point in time. And if this is going to be at chemical science, well, at that point I have access to the slaked lime loop for sodium hydroxide. In fact, at the next tech level, I have access to the slaked lime loop for sodium hydroxide. So I really do need to get here for this, because this is going to be the way that we get sodium hydroxide going forward. It will consume an incredible amount of coke, but it will save having to electrolyze salt, saline water, to produce sodium hydroxide. I'll actually have to do some math and compare the scale of the processes, because sure, the slaked lime loop is fairly small, but you have to consider the entire infrastructure of making coke for it. Which can get pretty massive. I mean, think of this right here. I have all this to make coke. It makes what? It's 15 stacked. It's 75. This is 75, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. Which I think it's 1-to-1. I think it's 1-to-1 with the slaked lime loop. Not quite 1-to-1, but it is a pretty significant amount to make 75 sodium hydroxide. It's 1-to-1 on the salt, not on the coke, but that's still most of my coke, right? And then the trades need to be able to move this much stuff at a time. This will be what I do in the end. Okay, the plan for the day today. What are we going to do? Well, my thought was, A, we are completely and fully capable of producing mechanical parts on the train network. That is a thing I can do at any point. And I don't even need to consider the production of manure, because I have that provided on the train network at this point. Do I have the urea? Did I make urea and put it onto the train network? I'm just checking in here if yeah, I have done urea. So, because of that, I don't even need to look at the production of urea at all in this plan. And I technically have the iron, nexylate, antimony, special alloy, and the vitriloy on the train network. So really what I'm looking at here, and switching this over to automated factories, is this as a factory. But, that's a bit of stuff. I also need to make those copper cables, and I have to make the graphite, and I need to make bolts, I guess. Why are you on compute by element? Matrix solve, please. Is everything properly broken down? I think so. Yeah, everything here is good now. So, making just 0.2 per second of the mechanical parts is going to end up using one full iron, nexylate, antimony special alloy. A reminder that I only have 0.5 of it available right now. Now, this will use a few automated factories. If I hit summary, this needs 23 automated factories. I have 26 on me. I could go and build this, but I think I'm just going to do this one off screen between streams. It also needs batteries, and I haven't built batteries. The batteries are part of the build. right. I'm going to have a separate build for the batteries. So I'm going to not do this today. What I want to do today is Ulrich's, but we need to have a chat about Ulrich's. Why do I need to get into Ulrich's? I need to get into Ulrich's because I want to have a way of more easily getting into bone meal. That's step one, because over here, logistics science packs, remembering that I will need 2 per second on the logistics science packs. This is going to ultimately need 0.84 bone meal. And I would like to get that out of Ulrich's rather than out of additional bone. Well, and I will also need to set up cotton guts for that, but again, I will probably be doing that off screen between streams over the weekend in particular. And there's some aspects of this that are going to be separate factories in their entirety. More likely than not. I'm likely going to be needing more than this much bone meal because I'm going to make poor alien samples on their own factory, making more than 0.34 because I'll need them to make good alien samples later, as well as great alien samples later, and I need some brought to the mall. So, yeah, they are needed for some other things. Also, solidified Sarcoris is used for other things. Cotton guts, I guess, are exclusively used for what their products are. They also get used up in Arthurians and Thadai, so I would want to have them provided onto the train network as cotton guts. They're also apparently... Yeah, and they're used for all this crap for sciences. I do not need to consider the Relesia in here. Oh yeah, and the lab instruments. I will need lab instruments provided separately on the train network, and maybe even the equipment chassis. No, they only get used for, Yeah, they only get used in the lab instruments, so... I do need more lab instruments since these get used here in animal reflectors. Oh god, 3-diethyl aminophenol, phthalic anhydride, oh boy, so phthalic, yes, phthalic anhydride, and they're used for all this crap in here. cDNA in particular, I will want to get into cDNA, and I will need to get retrovirus as well. So yeah, lots of stuff, and primers, yeah, those do, and the DNA polymerase, all this wonderful stuff will need the lab instruments. Oh boy. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of work, and that's gonna be the focus of my weekend, basically. So, Ulrich. Ulrich will also be required to get into Archods. And they will be required as Ulrich to get into Archods. In fact, Archods are a little weird because we need apiaries and we need Rauk paddocks specifically for them. And then they're going to eat Ulrich as well. So, yeah, it's a bit of effort on these guys. They will eat Ulrich in our honey production ultimately, and we're going to need to make a bit of the empty honeycombs that will cycle. We just need to, have the honeycombs to begin with. So this is a relatively temporary build, quote unquote temporary build, to eventually make the honey. But the problem is we need the modules. We need the modules. We need the modules for this. We need that was the wrong button. We need 450 modules for this, which gets me to this, which is, yes, requires natural gas, so that's wonderful that this requires natural gas. It is a pain in the rear end that this requires natural gas. So the only real option for the natural gas at this point, the intended way is to, you know, use the bitumen seeps, but I hate the intended ways. I dislike the intent. Yo, you can just pump jack raw gas. Interesting. So that's how they've done this. Interesting. That is extremely inefficient. But it's permanent, so there's at least that. Now, what is the refined syngas? Like, why are we able to do refined syngas from condensates? Is there a way to go into, or refined natural gas, excuse me, is there a way to get into, like, natural gas out of this refined natural gas? There is literally nothing you can do with it at this phase of the game. Gee, thanks. You can use it to make refined syngas. Wonderful. So our options are this, or mine it, which, yeah, it doesn't show up here because it's all, like, script stuff, related stuff, but yeah. I refuse to mine it, so this is what I will do. Bearing in mind that this entire setup is temporary to maintain a buffer of archods. Yeah. Yeah. So actually with the archods, the way that they work now, because they got rid of the queen output off of the initial creation recipe for archods, what you end up getting is a regular archod along with a bunch of eggs. So you are able to, you will need to hatch the eggs, which that is going to require making an empty honeycomb first, and then making an archod honeycomb so that you can throw that in with the egg and a, for whatever reason, a caged Vrauk. I don't see why this uses the caged variant of the Vrauk. That's part one of something that's a little hazy, because this uses caged and this uses not caged up here when making archod nests. Right? You see that there's that's inconsistent between these two. You have to hatch the eggs to make maggots, and this is done in Vrauk paddocks to make archod maggots and used combs that I don't think we really have much use for at the moment. The maggots get added to Vrauk that are not caged in this instance, as well as the Vrauk's food and empty combs, not to be confused with used combs. These are empty combs, which, how are we going to make that? Because I didn't even add that to this. That's a standard recipe that uses tailings dust. That uses tailings dust. That's interesting. That'll make an archod nest, and then the archod nest needs to get hatched into a queen first. So we have to start by making the queen. And then that will allow us to produce additional eggs once we have the queen on here. But this process is like 0.1% chance to lose your queen. So you have to make sure that the queen production happens and you have extra queens around. And only after all that can you take your nests to make your archods. So this process here that's going to use some archods from some archods and queens to make the eggs. You hatch your eggs, you make the nests, then the nests have to make both more queens and the archods, which have to cycle back some to keep making eggs. And I've already complained a lot about the fact that you lose archods here. Like, why do we lose archods in producing eggs? Like, huh? It should return some of them. I can understand the concept of having helpers to the queen, but the helpers don't just die every time they pull the eggs out. I'm out of coffee. It's like, why do they just die here? And that brings us to Ulrich. This process is making 1 Ulrich per second. Net out. It's also making manure for whatever reason. But, you know, fine. It's just, they're just making manure out of this. There's a little bit of a problem here in that there's a rather awful implication of yeah, both parents always die in the production of Ulrich cubs. Which has some pretty serious implications to the scale of the build. Because now, instead of having to have, 1 per second, of making 1 per second of Ulrichs, no, instead of making just the 1 per second that I want, I have to actually make 3 per second. And I lose 2 of them to keep the process going. I need to make triple the amount that I need. And I don't think that this is it. I don't think that this is simply an oversight where they just did not add the return of the adults in this reproduction step, like happens in other processes. Like how the Vrauks return the parents and the Augs return the parents. This is a little bit more insidious because it appears as if that this has been balanced around the concept of you always losing the adults, which I just find strange. I find this strange. And yet, notice how we have 2-to-3 ratio here, and then on the Cub 2 recipe, we have a 3-to-6 ratio. Because for whatever reason, at this point, we are using 3 Ulrich in this process of breeding cubs. And then for Cub 3s, we're using 4 Ulrich and making 9 cubs. And then for the last one, Ulrich Cub 4, we're taking 5 Ulrich and we're making 12 cubs out of those 5. At no point do the adults survive this encounter. So, yeah. Here's the issue. When you make the Mark II, you take Mark II DNA samples, They are exactly what you think they are. And you add those DNA samples to an Ulrich, and you get back a cub and a tired Ulrich. The parent survives this encounter. Okay? Can we make this perfectly clear? The parent survives this encounter. To make the Mark II, as well as the Mark III, as well as the Mark IV. And no, pretty sure that the adult making the DNA samples also isn't dying in that process either. So we can see here for the Phase 2 Ulrich breeding program for the 0.5 Ulrich, here for the upgrade process, yes, as per usual with the upgrade process, there is a chance to get back a adult, and you are spending adults to get your Mark II adult in this process. It's apparently also used in the Mark II Archods here, but even then, this is just weird. This whole thing. It's like, why are we losing adults in making cubs, and yet when we are upgrading, we get back adults? Like, excuse me? And then the DNA samples, cough cough. For the DNA samples, you get the adult back after making the samples. They are then tired. They are then tired after producing the DNA samples, but you still get them back, which is the point. So it's like, okay, weird. So I consider this to be bugged, and that the adults should absolutely be being returned from this process, but I'm going to have to build it this way anyway, because I need the Ulrichs now, frankly. I can't wait for a fix. I need to make them now. So what will end up happening, hopefully, is that once they do eventually start returning adults from these processes, I will have built a setup that will produce more. It'll just simply produce more than what I have planned out here. It would produce 3 rather than 1. I'm just trying to decide how I'm going to place all of this and where. We're going to do this in here. And I'm going to probably delete all of that. Okay, so also, even though I'm going to be building this today, I need to make perfectly clear that I only have 4 Ulrich. And at the start, to kick this process off, and it had dang well better be enough to kickstart this process. It will be precisely enough to force it to happen, and I will have to manually move Ulrich from the reproductive complex to the corral to get it to move. Because fortunately, this recipe uses exactly 3 cubs, and this recipe makes exactly 3 cubs. So 2 of my Ulrich will immediately die in order to make the cubs. I'm left with 2 that I have to take out from modules of the reproductive complex, put those 2, or at least 1, into an Ulrich corral so we can then raise these 3 cubs into precisely 3 adults. And then that will cycle 2 of those adults must die to produce 3 more cubs, which will make 3 more Ulrich, of which 2 must die to produce 3 more cubs, etc., etc. So that's how that's gonna go. I have just enough. Now, where am I making my Ulrich corrals? Down there. These are Ulrich corrals, yes? Yes, they are. That's a few. Alright, I think I have enough of the Ulrich corrals. How many repro centers do I have? I have enough. Okay. So I have enough reproductive centers. Botanical nurseries, I definitely have enough of those. And I have the automated factories that I need. You'll notice that in this build I am going to be making the food locally this time around. This is a build that's going to need to be rebuilt over time as I do better and better recipes. So I'm okay with doing this here for now with the food. It's just that I will eventually need to make the quality food as well. And that's gonna, like, use regular food to make the quality food, I think. The quality Ulrich food is going to, oh no, it doesn't actually use the regular food, but the recipes that use the quality Ulrich food also use regular quality food. Not for the manure, though, but for the stage 3 Ulrich recipes and stage 4 Ulrich recipes, it's using both kinds. It's using both kinds, so at least I'll have the one kind. Add a build. Who knows, maybe I will change the build by making this location the food location primarily, and move where I have the Ulrich corrals when that change becomes necessary. For now, though, stuff, things. Build a train station. Now, of course, what comes after this is going to be work towards getting the archods. The only problem with that is that I need to, you know, make the initial archods, and I don't have cDNA, so I have to, like, work on everything else to even make the first archods on here. Yeah, I'm out of cDNA, and I don't have much of any of the ingredients on my train network. That's a minor issue. Just a niggling little issue. And yeah, I know that I made a whole bunch of stone and did not end up making the landfill elsewhere. Not yet, anyway. I have the stone for it. I definitely have the stone for it. I just didn't end up processing stone to gravel and putting down a whole bunch of soil extractors so I could actually just make landfill. Haven't done that yet. I'm watching the minimap because the minimap does update as I fill stuff in. Definitely need to landfill a few things around here. All of my construction robots are currently active. At least I think they are. They better be. They had better be. That's why I'm paying them. They better be doing their jobs. That down there might be an issue, but we'll see. I have to decide how long I want the lines to be because, Ulrich corrals are on the large side. They're on the largest side. They were remade to be bigger than they used to be. But that was a while ago. They are this big. They're about yay big. They are 12 by 12, so not the hugest, but still fairly large. Fairly large on the order of these guys. They're 1 tile smaller, 2 tiles smaller than an Og paddock. What will be a pain is the Muckmo pastures. Those are the largest buildings I think that exist. At least they used to be. I don't know if there's any even larger buildings now. That's not the button I wanted. That's the button I wanted. The Muckmo pastures, I think, are like somewhere along the lines of 18 by 18. They are absolutely massive. Okay, build starts from the very tippy top up here. I will need to... Oh. I did not include a very important step, which is to convert logs to wood. That is step 1. And that will be here. That's fine, that positioning. One into 5. There we go. 7 of these. Each of these eats 1, makes 0.8. Okay, that's the tree seeds. I didn't actually put down the steam. There's your steam. Alright. 1, 2, 3 belts even. Huh. I'm just thinking about belts and inserter throughput. A long-headed inserter does more than 1 item per second, right? I'm fairly certain. Yeah, the rotation speed is more than 360 degrees, so this is able to do more than 1 item per second, which means that if it's dealing with having to input 2 items, it can support more than 0.5, which is the max that I would need it to. The question is, what do I want to do regarding inputs versus outputs? Since I don't need to worry about the individual throughputs on the long-headed inserters, that should be fine. And then the output is only 0.6, so it should be fine for that arrangement. And there we go. That will be the food. Okay, it's just unfortunate that these are not... that these pipe ports are not two-way ports. Because, you know, it would be nice if I could just do this on the line. But, oh well. Okay, and then we need these for Relesia seeds. Which somewhat complicates things. I'm pretty sure that that will be Relesia right there. That's gonna be Relesia. I have decided that the Relesia and the seeds will be on the same belt. Oh, right. Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that, unfortunately. I have to move this down and have something else there. I just looked at that. It is important that I make sure that the ash, native flora, and tree seeds are on the internal belt and not an external belt. So the outside belt needs to be the Faugi and tin here. This needs to be Faugi and tin. And then this internal belt needs to be ash and native flora at this point. Alright, that should work. Notice how much Relesia gets eaten up. Notice how much Relesia is being eaten in this process. Yeah, that's a lot. How much am I making? 15. I'm making 15 in grand total. net out. And I'm going to use loaders on the output from these just because I'm dealing with 15 items per second of output in total. And I want to make sure I have the full compressed belt. Okay, that is the seeds, the 15 seeds, as well as the 1 item per second on the Ulrich food. 1? No, 3 items per second on the Ulrich food. Now we get to think about, well, what's the next step here that I need? I think this next one is going to be the reproductive complexes. This glorious line. This glorious line needs to be a little bit lower. Lovely. Did this get changed again? I was thinking about this. This totally got changed again, didn't it? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. These buildings will operate without the allowed module. Without the module in them. I'm pretty sure I read in a patch note that these are supposed to actually require the respective module to operate. But clearly they do not at this point in time. Not anymore. At least not on this Ulrich recipe. Not on the Og recipe. Not on the Route Cocoon recipe. I guess it was too much of a hassle. Maybe. Oh look, you can spend 7 Archods and 15 Relesia to get 5 whole eggs. Woohoo! You can get, you have to spend plus 2 Archods and a whole 15 Relesia to get 5 whole eggs. Yay! Such a glorious exchange. It's totally not all that useful. Anyhoozle. Let's get a line of 16 of these down. Yeah, I was pretty certain that these were changed to genuinely require the creature. But whatever. He's fine now for me. I can work with this. Oh good, that's the line. Oh boy, that's the line that I may not cross. Yeah, there we go. There is the line that I may not cross. That 16 is convenient. Alright, so I lowered this a little bit so that I could fit a doohickey producing water barrels. A few doohickeys producing water barrels, as it turns out. Oh, this is going to be very awkward, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a little awkward. Hmm. I'm going to have filtered outputs on this. I'm also totally going to, like, liquefy the manure and void the liquid manure. Hello, welcome to the stream. Yeah, because it's just water plus manure equals liquid manure, which you can sinkhole, so you don't have to spend a solid fuel to get rid of byproduct manure. That is exactly what I'll end up doing. However, right now, I need barreling machines. Barreling. Where are my barreling machines at? There, I have 8. You know, I think this build is going to require more than 8. I'm pretty certain that this is going to require more than 8. Because each one is 5? 2.5? Oh boy, I need exactly 8 in total. So it's 6 for 15? Yeah, it is. It is 2.5, isn't it? Yeah, it's 2.5 each. Oh boy. Actually, yeah, I ended up with just enough. Oh, yeah, it's great. I had just enough. Just enough. For my purposes here. For my porpoises. And these buildings are 1 tile smaller than you think they are. Most of the time, so yeah, I always have to be careful with the exact placement on the input here, because these things are much taller, graphically, than the actual sprite. Oh boy, alright. So that'll be the input. That'll be the output. Right there. They have to feed this. I put this too low, didn't I? Yeah. I'm gonna raise that up a little bit. Just a little bit. There you go. And then this logistics work. Okay. I'm going to need to have a lot of belts of throughput here. I'm going to have 3 belts. Hopefully, I will eventually only need 2 belts, but for now, I need 3. I guess I'll have this inside belt be the water, and I won't need to use loaders. Because this will be eating up less than 1 barrel per second per building in total. Bearing in mind that the throughput on here is going to be... Oh, it's exactly 1? Alright, well. Why do I have 16 buildings then if it's... What? What? There's rounding happening here. Ah. There is rounding happening here. The crafting speed is 0.999 on these reproductive complexes. So even though it says that it's 1 for each building, it is not quite... It is not quite 1. So even though I have 16 buildings, it's only using a small fraction of that 16th building. It is actually not 15.02 seconds. It's 15. It is exactly 15 that I need. It is exactly 2 food and exactly 3 Valgian and exactly 2 Ulrich. And it will produce 15 barrels and 3 cubs and 1 manure. It will do this, but because it's not quite crafting speed 1 on these buildings, it's just short of crafting speed 1. I need the extra. You need to have the extra building, the 16th building. Yeah, it's just it's a precision rounding error here. Rounding issue, not giving the full story on the one building, the individual building basis for actual craft time here. Yeah, this is the cycle time. This is the cycle time. The cycle is 15.02 seconds. It will take that long to do the recipe for each building. And I'm realizing, actually, I want these out there. Do I need to? No. No, I do not. I only need 1. But it needs to be arranged like that. Wait, what? I was off? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I placed 15 buildings and not 16 buildings. So that should be 16 buildings. It's unfortunate I don't have the radar coverage. Cough, cough. Cough, cough, game. I'm gonna take a little bit of a walk. I'm gonna take a little bit of a walk. Sigh. One of the biggest things about blueprints in this game is I really, really wish that the game was capable of like auto placing landfill, but also like keeping ghosts over water tiles. That would be great. If we could have like blueprint ghosts over water tiles. Over like invalid terrain. Okay, by doing that, I should have a bit more vision. Not a ton, but a little bit more vision from the radars all about the place. Looks like it didn't actually give me, you know, what I needed in here. So that's always great. I just have to trust now that it is 16. It makes placing the stupid belts more difficult. I sort of need vision in order to use my ability to reach for building. There was a rock in the way. There's another rock in the way. I should have vision now. There we go. Ta-da. Is my size enough to not block any of these if I walk there? Okay. That is 16. Okay. Confirmed. The cats haven't shown up today, and I'm sad. They must be sleepy. The outputs! Okay, this will be more difficult. Just a bit more difficult. Oof, my back cracked. Oh boy. Ugh. So I have to filter out the barrels, and ideally filter them with loaders. That's not a B. Empty, the emptiest of barrel. And I need to have an inserter set to blacklist empty barrels, and this can actually be done with this guy. So you get to blacklist the empty barrels. And then down the line we go. If there is a modification made so that these return the adults, I will have to redo this. But that's okay. I will gladly redo this. I would have thought people would have, like, pointed this out at some point. Maybe they did, and it was just ignored, but... you know, I have to at least try. I gotta try. Make things happen. I gotta point out the inconsistencies when I see them. This is gonna be a lot of power poles down the line, because we still gotta run this line again. Okay. I'll have to filter the manure out, but I think we're okay for now. Let me run these poles. And I intend on putting a radar down right about here. Oh god, you are in the way. I was like, is that my taskbar? No, that's Helmod. Because now I can just plonk the rest of the line. That's fine. Let's see, there are 300 and there are over 500 entities missing construction robots. That's great. There's even more than that, technically. And a bunch missing materials for construction? They must not be in logistic zone. Yeah, all that's not in logistic zone, so it's of course going to consider that missing because they're not part of the main network. How is everything looking? It's looking I put blueprints down to continue extending the skeleton of my train network. Just a bit. Just a little bit. Still don't know what the heck I'm gonna do with all of this. Because, yeah, extending to the left is not going to be easy. Because of all of the water that is out to the left and in this corner here. But even down here, there's a lot of water here as well. It doesn't seem like it's as much as the stuff that's over here, though, and up here in this corner. There's just so much over here. Not as much out to the right, but my mall is here. But my mall is here. My intent is that I'm going to be building radially around the mall, that the mall is going to be the centralized location of the base. So even though I've like extended all the way down here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 tiles down, and I'll be 5 tiles out as well in the end. Currently it's 4 tiles to the right. There's actually, I'll have 1 more tile right, I'll have 5 tiles above, and then I have to have 5 total tiles left. We're currently 0 tiles left, which is part of the problem. And we're also only like the first tile up when we need to be 5 up as well as 5 down, and then 5 left as well as 5 right. For all intents and purposes, we are 3, 3, and 1 now, with a few on the other layers built. But anyway, stuff things. I will need a lot of barrels. I will need a lot of barrels, won't I? Going down, going yonder. Okay. Box. The emptiest of barrels. And that's gonna do that part for me for the moment. Yeah. Where and how am I going to bring in the Faugi? Well, Faugi is also used up here. I determined that this part's Relesia already. So that part's Relesia. I guess this will be Faugi. It has to merge with something else. But that will do. Yeah, the only issue about doing it there is now it's not going to be elegant on this part. However, 15 per second on the Relesia seeds means that there is no way I'm getting away with only 2 input belts for the Ulrich corrals anyway. So I can have a Faugi line, the extra Faugi going down. That's actually okay. But if I wanted to, I can totally just filter the food here and just keep that truncated, and then only the food can go down from there. And it won't contaminate the lines at all. No, I don't want that there. I want it somewhere over here. You come out, down, filter, manure. Apparently Simic have their own manure that's unique to Simic. Okay. That's going to be cubs and food. And then this one. Seeds. Cubs, food, seeds. Can I merge cubs and food? Yes. I will merge cubs and food. And then I will have seeds. And that will leave the barrels on their own belt. Cool. Great. Fantabulous. I have not done this way to this point, but I guess there's a first for everything. Okay, I need to have more barrels, of course. What I would normally do here would be to have a barreling machine dedicated to each individual line of corrals. But in this case, I will have a centralized location where all of the barrels will go to, because it is just 2 machines. And now the fun part with a capital FU. 75 machines happens to divide by 5. $15 times. Now the question is, do Do I want to go longer? No. I'm gonna probably stick with those 5 lines of 15. Because it would be 2.5 lines of 30, and I'm not gonna have a single line of 75 long. And it's not divisible by 2. It is divisible by 3, for a line of 25, though. So it would be 10 more. I've got the length for that. So 3 lines of 25, I guess. That'll be what we end up using. I have one of these. Let's go ahead and do that. That's going to put deconstruction orders on all of the debris, all of the wood and stone about the place that will be potentially in my way. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all of the logistics work on this one line and then copy the whole thing with all of the logistics work. However, I'm noticing that we are about 10 seconds, less than 10 seconds away from our break time. There we go. It is officially that time. We are halfway through the day's stream. This is a great time to pause, get up, stretch the legs, come back, and then we have the rest of this logistics work to do. We are nearly finished with this build for now. And as for what we do after this, I have no clue. We'll figure it out. I will be back in a few minutes. I have returned with an Ollie. There's my boy. Yes, Ollie. He's come. He's come to visit. He has come to visit. Yeah. Yeah, and I've got Dolly's baby here. I found this on the floor. Right by my seat. I found this by my chair. This one's Dolly's. This one's Dolly's baby. Where's yours? Where's Chipmunk baby, huh? Ollie. I am healing. My wrist is healing from Ollie's tooth last stream. Made me bleed. It did end up breaking the skin. And it swelled up a little bit. I got the antiseptic on it, and now it's just a scratch. Healing nicely, no swelling at all. But still, tooth! He gave me the tooth! Ah, Ollie. He did not get lap time the rest of that day. He didn't get lap time the rest of that day. I hear Doll. I hear Dolly. Meow. Yeah, she meows. She meowed at me. How's Dolly? She gonna come up? Come say hi? I found Dolly in the bathroom. On the bathroom counter. On the hand towel. Resting ever so comfortably. On the hand towel for the kitchen sink. The bathroom sink. Here's Doll. Hey, you. Was that hand towel comfy up in the bathroom? Was that comfy? Comfy enough for the kitty? Ahem, right underneath the vent for the heat. Right underneath the heat. Yeah. Yeah, the main bathroom air vent is the first vent on the line, so it gets the most oomph coming out of it. The air is the fastest at that particular location. So the bathroom gets nice and comfy in the winter from the heat. I just wish this office were similar, but no, this office is the end of a line. A different line from the one that goes to the bathroom, but this one's at the very end, and it gets nothing. Practically nothing. There's no, you can hardly feel the air coming in on this room. It's annoying. A bit annoying. And I have had to have supplemental heat in previous years. This year it's been okay thus far. We did have a few relatively cold days. It has dropped below freezing briefly a few times, but I've managed with just a Snuggie. For now, though, let's get back into the game. We are comfortable temperatures now. Better. What is it right now? It is apparently raining right now. Raining right now, and I work in Fahrenheit. It's 57 Fahrenheit. High of 68. That's pretty close to room temperature. If it gets there. Apparently we've already had it. I don't know why it says that the high is 68, and yet by the time you would expect the high to be, it says it's like 64. But oh well. And there will be some rain. Little bit, not much. But yeah, this is the highest it's going to be for a little bit. It'll be 50s, couple days in 40s, couple days in 50s, 60s. Warmer. It's on the warmer side. I mean, 32 is freezing. So, yeah. On the warmer side of freezing, you know. I'll take it any day. You're grooming. You're grooming. You're cleaning that paw. Big boy. All right, let's get this logistics work done. I think I am yet again going to move this a little bit higher. Okay, we need to have, I said 3 belts because we have to deal with the 15 per second on the Relesia seeds, but technically we don't have to have it as 3 belts. We can have this as 2. We just have to take this line and this line and combine one tile lower. One tile over. And there we go. Ollie, why are you trying to, like, get to your sister? Why are you trying to get to doll? Why is Ollie trying to get to Dolly? Yeah, big boy. Yeah, you want a groom. You want a groom. Alright. The other day, not yesterday, but the day before, Tuesday evening, they went up together on my chest of drawers next to my bed. They were comfy together. Usually it's just one or the other. But they got comfy. They were grooming each other up there. And they stuck around for a little while. Oh, there she goes. She's going to the window. Watching the window. Okay. This individual building throughput is going to be fine. I'm pretty sure. Because we're... yeah. I'm pretty sure I can get away with those and not the blues. I should absolutely be saving the blues. And I should be running a very big length of belt between these so I can simply copy and let my nanobots do the work. You know, nanobots, those important things, they need to do work. Although in some instances with far reach installed, it can be faster to use to actually manually place things if I have vision. Right, it is an odd number. I'm like, hold on. What? Yes, this is good. This is accurate. And then outputs. I'm just gonna use these inserters. Yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine even with those. I am going to directly copy paste, and I am not going to mirror. Doing a mirror setup is an option. It would save some belt to do that, but I don't really have to worry about the belt entity count at this moment in time. I will eventually, but for right now, I'm going to keep things as they are. I will need power poles brought down. and run. I want another thingy. Radar somewhere, but that won't be part of the copy paste. Radar coverage. Who gets to be the radar location? I think I need it right around here. So then copy. Copy. I should copy the whole thing, but that radar is going to be in the way. Whatever. Whatever. I'll just have spacing, I guess. Voila. 3. That is 75. 75 of these buildings. Oh, there's Ollie. Hello. Welcome, Ollie, to the chair. How's the big boy doing? How's the Ollie? What you doing? How you doing? Big Ollie up top. Ollie is so large that when he is on the back of this chair, I have to be incredibly careful. I have to be quite careful of the Ollie because if I'm not careful, if I get up out of this chair, it can fall backwards with him on it. He is so large, he is so much of a counterweight on the back of this chair. If I get up, it could tip the chair down. And it has done so with him on it on a couple of occasions. Because he is big kitty. He is heavy kitty. But it only can do that if I have the chair reclined, which I do not do while streaming. So it is unlikely for the chair to fall during a stream unless the lever gets pulled out on me, which it does do on occasion. This chair that I sit in is broken. Like 20 pounds heavy? No, not really 20. He's 13, 14. I forget exactly what he weighed in at last time, but more than 12. He's like 13 pounds, 14 pounds. Somewhere around there, at least. Maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe a little bit more than that at this point. He's getting there, though, which is a bit of a problem, but oh well. He's got at least 50% over his sister. That should do it, right? Yeah. Okay. Wow, that actually just barely on that radar coverage. Okay, that doesn't look too intimidating, right? This particular factory? I hope this factory doesn't look too particularly intimidating. It's not like gargantuan, it's not like this over here on the manure and on the ogs themselves. I mean, even this is more intimidating, I think, than this, but still, it's a lot of logistics shenaniganery to have to think about. Okay, do I want to split these at the beginning here like this? I guess so. Manure. 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 We need to get rid of the manure. And we need to combine it with the other manure. Manure, manure, manure. Beautiful, glorious manure byproduct. Alright, let's get rid of the manure. I will need bioreactors. Gee, I hope I have bioreactors. Bioreactors, hello. I need to get rid of 4 items per second of manure. So, that will involve having 4 of these buildings. Since I have 4 of these buildings, I will use yellow inserters, even though they can't quite keep up with 1.25 per building. They can do 1.2, which is good enough. It's greater than 1, a value that is greater than 1, and that is all that matters. So the key here is this is getting deleted from the face of existence through a sinkhole. And that is how we can get away with not needing to import a solid fuel. Though technically, we're importing a solid fuel in the form of logs that we could use to burn. We're just not doing so. And that is just the manure part of this. We also will need to filter out the empty barrels from this, but we will do that up here. Filter those emptiest of empty barrels right there to the right, and of course I will want to have a box. This is my box. That is not the spot. That is not the spot. What is the spot? Because what's left is Ulrich, right? What's left is Ulrich, and I have to prioritize right on the Ulrich, and it's just this line, right? It's this line right here. Oh joy, oh bliss. Now I have to remember what goes where. What is going where? What? I'm already confused. Okay. This is Fawagi. it merges with a thing. Faugi is merging with Relesia. What? No. What have I done? Relesia merges with wood here. This is Relesia. But this is Faugi. Faugi. Faugi and a thing. Separate. Here. Or here. What's here? I guess I can like redefine on the fly what goes where, because this is Relesia. This is Relesia. I decided this right here, this is Relesia. It gets added to the tree seeds. So that is known. That is a known. This line, Relesia plus tree seeds. Relesia and tree seeds, 1.5 items per second on that lower line. The top line here needs to be Faugi and tin. Faugi and tin on the top line. Faugi plus tin. So this is tin. This is Faugi. This line going across combines the food with Faugi. Food and Faugi. Which means this line right here is the native flora and the ash. So a shared native flora ash line. And this going up all the way over here is logs. Logs go here. So logs, native flora ash, Faugi, tin, and Relesia. Glorious. Beautiful stuffs. We did it. We've understood the process. Let's give this power. Beautiful, glorious power. There we go. Everything is powered. Oh boy, train station. Train station is always fun. Let's do train station next. I also need to steal you. Put you there, put you there. And now we are proper. We are ready. Ready for mayhem. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yes, there was one other thing that I did off screen that I haven't mentioned yet that I have just remembered. I just remembered it with the conversation about needing solid fuels, or not needing solid fuels in this particular location. I totally scaled up my raw coal as well between streams. I completely forgot to mention that earlier. I scaled up the native flora. I obtained additional lots of stone and stone bricks. I also scaled the raw coal mining in a different location. It is mining 8 stacked belts and has 12 locomotives, and it is at Borax. It is located at Borax. It is here. It is right here. I have 8 stacked belts of rock hole getting made, getting mined from this little rock hole location here. It loads into trains as fast as the trains can get in here, and I have 12 of them. and there are 12 of them. And they are not currently active, which is a good thing. Which is a very good thing. And even out here, I finally have a few rock holes not moving at the first primary rock hole location. Why? Because during this entire excursion, this whole experience of scaling the rock hole, I discovered that I had a couple of locations where I had accidentally used the older values for the train supply manager requester stations. The one that does not work with the stacked products, so it was filling up those locations to be too full. It was requesting more than the station could hold, basically. And so it was always sending a train to certain factories. There was like 3 or 4 factories that had that wrong request. The request that I want generally is a request for 3 trains at 1,000 units. So it tries to bring in 3,000 units max to the station, and that works wonderfully. That works fine. It can bring up to 3 trains at a time, which is great when the trains are slower. It's more trains of throughput at a time, which is ideal for this situation. It was trying to bring in 2 times 4,000 for 8,000 total units versus, 6,000 total units, and it did not work out well. It did not work out very well at all. Okay. Some stuff is stacked, some stuff is not. Only the Relesia is not stacked. I'm pretty sure everything else is stacked, and the Relesia is the one at the very end. So that line is done. It was Relesia with tin, was it not? So let us get our unstacking on tin. Copy that, paste it for everything else on here. Our Relesia at Ulrich. Our tin at Ulrich. The third line is the shared belt between the ash and native flora. No. No, the third belt is... What? Oh. This is the Relesia. This is the Faugi. Oh, I didn't ever define the Relesia. Ah, yes, another thing that I did off screen. I added more Moondrop. And put it onto trains. So, Moondrop, yeah, here. I had a methane factory that I simply scaled. I copy-pasted the Moondrop part of the build and then added additional buildings. It looks like it did not actually finish plopping all of those pipes. Oh boy. This produces 5. This produces 5 per second, ultimately, of the Moondrop, which is great. Alright, this one's Faugi. Which should be stacked coming in. Then we have the shared belt. Of ash. And what was the other thing? Native flora. And last but not least are logs. Everyone wants a log, right? Because, of course, logs are better than good. They're great. Logs are great. They're great. They're not bad, they're good. Yeah, I stream it very regularly, Tuesdays, Thursdays. From 10 to 1. We have a little bit under an hour left. I've played through Planetons a couple times before. 3 times before, fully. Yeah, this is the... Alternative energy is very different. It is a very different experience from previously. You have to be ready to deal with the ash. Definitely have to be prepared for dealing with ash. At the beginning of the game, in particular. That's like the big early game thing. You know, it would be great if my own personal locomotive wasn't in the way of everything coming in. Well, I hope you enjoy making use of them. I always void all byproducts whenever possible. If I can, if it can happen, it will happen. I will get rid of everything. Happily, gladly, I will kill all of the byproducts if it's not something I want. There are some few exceptions that I am making in this particular playthrough. Cough, cough. I am making a few exceptions on this playthrough with slaughtering. But, yeah. For the most part, I'm not going to use byproducts whenever possible. Ah, boy. Like at fish here, I am slaughtering fish for their fish oil, and I am eliminating from the face of existence every other piece of them beyond, like, the skin and bones that I need to make additional food for them. Yeah. Oh, good. There is plenty of food hanging out for them, and I'm like flooded with fish. Ah, boy. So that's everything brought in, right? Yeah. So have I screwed up? That is the question. Have I messed up my logistics anywhere? Oh boy, that is always the best of questions. Have I effed things up anywhere? I don't think so. Thank goodness. All of the belts are running. Now, realistically speaking, outside of the scale of this build, what is actually limiting the Relesia? That's what's limiting on this build. The Relesia is the #1 bottleneck, I'm pretty sure, on here. If I wanted to double this build, I would need to double my Relesia, basically. There are actually quite a few people out there that absolutely, like, ingrained in their soul is to always use all byproducts. And I'm just like, nope. I'm not doing that. I refuse. And my brain goes like, you know, that doesn't sound fun to me. So I'm not going to do it. I refuse. I refuse that level of complexity. I'm fine with complexity, but I will not be partaking in anything more. So what I just did there was I've grabbed the 3 Ulrich cubs that just got made, and I have to find them in here so I can plop them in this building. And we will magically have our very first cycle, glorious, beautiful cycle of Ulrich cubs. If I have any splitters of cubs, or of adults here, I should say, I need to make sure that all of the output is getting thrown into this one building for now of those. So yeah, this is a brand new building called the Reproductive Complex that has been added with Alien Life. It has been added to Alien Life from the general overhaul to the entire Pi suite that happened with the launch of Pi Alternative Energy. Things have very much changed. This building now makes cubs from adults, and essentially all of the like very early game creature production is cub production now. It's all about cub raising. They just took the concept, like the most efficient concept of cub raising, and made everything cub raising. It's all about raising cubs now. And making cubs. So now all of it is in this reproductive complex. This particular process is... I was talking about this earlier in the stream, where Ulrich specifically appears to be bugged because in the vast majority of circumstances, you get your adults back. You get the adults back. I just think that it should give the adults back, you know, like all of the other recipes. Like all of the other recipes do. Apparently Corlex doesn't also, which is weird. No, I'm fine with cub raising. It makes more sense, to be honest. To raise pups or cubs. That makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense is not getting your adults back. But hey, I mean, I guess technically you lose them with cotton guts, you lose them with you lose the parents with cotton guts, you lose the parents with Corlex, and you're losing the parents with Ulrichs. You get your parents back with Augs, you get your parents back with Vrauk, you get them back with Zippier, and you get them back with Ziffo, which of all of the things here, the one that makes the least sense to get the adults back is the Ziffo. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, like, I understand there are... So you also have to understand there are certain types of creatures out there where their entire purpose in life is reproduction, and they die after reproduction. But those are usually insects. Those are usually insects, and some types of fish do this. The thing is, it's never a 2-to-3 ratio. Whenever this happens, they're making hundreds, if not thousands, of offspring at a time. And then they die. And then most of the offspring die. But enough come back for the next generation to do the same thing over and over and over again. Not like this. Not like this, and never in a situation where the adults are raising the cubs. And never in a situation where adults raise cubs, which is the exact situation that we are presented with these corral recipes, by virtue of them requiring adults in the module slots. In this scenario, you are simulating adults raising children. And if the adults are putting energy into raising children, well, you can't really lose adults when they breed, can you? So yes, I'm thinking that this was an oversight. That is exactly what I'm saying, is that this appears to not be implemented fully. This idea of returning adults does not appear to be universally implemented as it should be. And I've pointed out now 3 technically locations where that is not the case, where you have Ulrichs, the whatever they're called again. The milk producers. Corlex. That's the one. You have the Ulrich, you have the Corlex, and then you have Cotton Guts, where you are losing the parents when you make the pups. or cubs. Hey, Dolly. Meow! Yes, get out from under there. Hi, baby. It's my baby. Yeah, it's my baby. That's my Dolly. Pretty girl. Yeah, she's my pretty girl. That's a pretty girl. How's she doing? Yeah. I've got my Ollie behind my head, too. Yeah, that's my girl. Yeah, that's my baby. Oh, you want to kick away? There you go. There you go. She can be on the camera. Hi. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. We've got your baby. This one's yours. This is your baby. Yeah, we got your baby here. And we got Ollie behind my head. Who you can probably barely see. Barely make out that red collar. Red collar on dark gray baby. Ah. I will agree with the cages, and about cages that they should not exist. The barrels, I will also say should not exist, but has been like hard no by Pandons. That will not change. The cages will, most likely, as time goes on. Oh, there she goes. Yes, you ferocious Dolly. Ferocious kitty, grabbing her baby, tossing it to the side. Yeah. Yeah, you got claw out. I see claw. I see claw. I see claw of baby. Can we focus? Can we get better focus on baby? Focus. Focus. Hocus focus. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Baby burping. She burped. Ah. Why'd you get one? Oh, they moved. They moved here. And here. Yeah. Figures. Output priority to the left. Oh, now she's leaving. Oh no, she's going to the window. She's a window baby. She's the Dolly in the window. Okay, that will ideally self-perpetuate now that I've paid attention to this long enough. So what are we going to do for the rest of the stream? Now that I technically have Ulrich online. Between streams, of course, time will pass, and I will obtain sufficient Ulrich to fill the rest of these module slots. I will need 632 net, which means that over 1,200 will die in the reproduction of that many. That's just fantastic. But yeah, I fully support removing cages completely from the face of existence. They serve no purpose. The water barrels, they do serve a purpose, but it's mostly, I'll be honest, it's mostly out of laziness. Pandon simply does not want to add fluid ports to all of the buildings because that would demand having like actual pipe inputs added to the art design of all of these buildings, and that isn't going to happen. I say when there's totally ports on the reproductive complex, there's totally pipe ports for the reproductive complex. Cough, 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 cough. There's totally ports on the reproductive complex. We could pipe water into this specific building. That would be ideal. And like make it so that some buildings you pipe, or some creatures that you are using in the reproductive complex, make it so that they need saline. Oh look, Zipier, they need pressurized water and phytoplankton. They need phytoplankton and pressurized water for Ziffo. Not barreled. And yet all of the terrestrial stuff is barreled for no good reason. And like the Arcod here, the Arcod eggs, those are using honey barrels and natural gas barrels. When you have fluid ports on this building, there is no excuse for these to be using barrels. There is no valid excuse for any of these recipes in the reproductive complex using barrels for fluids. None. But that would be a major change that would break everyone's current builds. Would I like it to happen? Absolutely. But ideally with a whole bunch of other breaking changes so that it all just happens all at once and not like slowly over time. You know, that's like the worst, is to have these changes happen just slowly, one at a time. Just like rip the scab off. Just do the whole thing all at once. Anyway, stuff and things. Yeah, Augs do not have a pipe input or a place that would make sense for a pipe input, for example. Things like the we just saw with the Ulric. The Ulric, these guys have a water trough. They do not have a pipe input to fill said water trough, right? Like if you were to put a pipe input on here, you would need to have the pipe input. You would need to have something representing where the water gets stored inside of the building, as well as pipes to the water trough, where you have like a little hooked pipe going over spigot to fill the thing. And that would need to be done to like all of the terrestrial buildings for it to make sense to swap away from the water barrels. So is that going to happen? No. It will not be happening. Cages can happen, will happen. I am confident. But the barrel thing, no. The barrel thing for the reproductive complex, God, I hope so. I really hope we get rid of the barrels on reproductive complex recipes at some point. We already have the complexity on the corrals and the paddocks, etc. Why do we have it on the reproductive complex, which has fluid ports? 4 of them. It doesn't just have 1, it has 4 fluid ports built into the design of the building here. And at most, the recipes are using 2 fluids, at least at the moment. In the current state, as they have yes, they have the hearts and the triple X's there going on in this nursery module. Yes, it also has a this building has a unique music assigned to it that I occasionally play. They do their thing to some jazz music. So what are we gonna do in the last 30 minutes or so? Oh boy. Well, I don't have enough buildings to set this factory up separately. I would need 23 automated factories, of which I have 16 on me. So that probably won't happen. Why are there only 26 barreling machines in existence? Because just slowness of the one inserter. Alright, fair enough, and I'm likely limiting it to a single stack at a time. Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, well, we could just spend 30 minutes making plans, but that's not particularly engaging. So... oh god, they still haven't fixed this, have they? Have they? How much lead plates would 150 molten lead make? 96? $94 and a half. 94 and a half. Okay. So you're saying that... alright, it's close enough, I guess. It's relatively close, but it's still it's still more lead. But you save antimony oxide. 3 antimony oxide for a few lead plates. That's somewhat reasonable, I guess. Yeah, the matrix solver is saying that this is cheaper no matter what. So, eh? Is fine. Problem is rayon. Yeah. And the fiber for the rayon. Oh boy, yeah, we're not making that much anytime soon. So, Pi Science Pack 2s. Maybe we can do something here. Like, make poor alien samples? Can I just do this thing? I think I can just do this thing. The poorest of alien samples. Give me one. It will need bone meal from Ulrich, of course. But, you know, I am sort of making Ulrich at this point in time. It would need 0.42. I'm making 1. So the rest would go towards Archons at the moment. But the main output I would use from this system is bone meal. And not anything else. However, I would still put everything else onto the train network and avoid the excess. I would still do this thing, but yeah, I would still do it because I would have a need for brains. I would have a pretty massive need, I guess, for the brains before I can get the Arthurians, if I even want to make Arthurians for the purpose of getting brains. Yeah. Alright, well, what I can do is I can set this up without having the bone meal input, and then between streams I will go and I will slaughter the Ulrichs, probably at our main facility that are slaughtering augs. Currently, I have a setup that's slaughtering 1 aug per second. And I can append an extra line slaughtering up to 1 Ulrich per second that will put all of the outputs onto trains. I would need to add a supply station for bone meal and depot for the bone meal. But yeah, it should be fairly simple. Just a copy paste, really, with an additional bone meal output. Well, not really an additional bone meal output, it is a replacement for bone. You get bone meal rather than bone as the output here. Yeah, so it's just a change of recipe. So what I'll do is I will do this as a factory. And that should not take very long. Because there's quite a few of these, like, random, more intermediate type of buildings that need their own factory. But they're very, very small factories with quite a few inputs on them. Ah, right. I will need these micro-org mines. And I will need to make the soil. And I will need to make the rich clay. So that is the factory. Right there. Let's head on down. And all the while, this should be slowly cycling. He says. No barrels. Is that really the limit here? No barrels? Not enough? How many barrels do you need to do your cycle? You need 15 barrels to do your cycle. Okay. I am close enough to grab barrels and just spam. There you go. Enjoy! Enjoy the barrels! And if that needed more barrels, then this needs more barrels. Ta-da! Barrels. I mean, I'm standing here and the factory's there. That distance is less than 1,000, whatever units the game uses. Because I have far reach, and far reach is good. I wish it were better, though. I wish the game didn't have some arbitrary limitation on the ability to, you know, interact with things. There was apparently a bug in the game that let you actually interact with containers from the map view. If you were holding on to something, I think there was something with holding onto an item like in your hand and in the map view, and you were able to interact with a container that way from infinitely far away. Or maybe not infinitely far away, but from the map view, and then if you had like a far reach, you could interact with anything, anywhere through that bug, but they fixed the bug speaking of bug fixes, Factorio itself was updated recently and fixed a relevant bug to Pyanodon's mods that was actually discovered because of PyMods. And it was apparently a bug involving smelters, at least it came up in the furnaces, where if you had a stack of ore, and if you had a full stack of ash in the spent result inventory, if you had like a full stack of ash in the spent result inventory and it filled up with the input and had no output and it couldn't do the cycle, what would happen if you were to try to control left click on the furnace to pick up the stack of iron, or what would end up happening is the game would crash. Because it was attempting to run the recipe for the iron to plates. I guess every tick, maybe. I was thinking it was always checking to see if the spent result was removed. So if you tried to remove the ingredient, all of a sudden it was like erroring because there suddenly was no ingredient for the recipe. It was running, actively running. But they fixed it in this patch, so it shouldn't be a bug anymore. It shouldn't be a problem. It is not something that I encountered, but it is something someone playing Pyanodons encountered. I would like to say that it's a problem I didn't encounter because I didn't have a problem with Ash. I had some Ash issues, but not particularly many. Yeah, the early game Ash is a problem because you have no way of dealing with it at the start of the game. You simply have to box it and live with the 1,000 stacks of Ash for a while. The stacks of 1,000 units. Entire boxes of Ash that you can do nothing with until you eventually unlock the ability to sort the Ash, which simply kicks the can down the line, turning one byproduct into fewer but more additional byproducts, or additional products, and some you can use, some you can't. But you could try to make use of all of it and use priority, and just, if you want to have infinity spaghetti belts everywhere, technically you could make use of the sorting of byproduct Ash. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could do it. You could do it. You could do it. You could do that thing. You know what? This is another water. Those are aligned. Well, whatever. One. What's the throughput per building? 0.91? Alright. will work. That will work there. Next. These two guys, we are meeting up these. That's a bit more throughput. Okay. That is off. That is still off. That is better. Better than bad, it's good. Okay. These are very low throughput each, so I will just use regular mechanical inserters on input and output. Hello, doll. You're emerging? She is emerging from the window? Hello, my baby. Yeah. My baby's emerging. Is she gonna settle? Yes. Oh, she's gonna settle against the TV. Of course, against the TV. Yeah. Licking. Alright, this thing. 1, 2, 3 belts. Oh boy. Throughput on belts. Oh boy. Do I want to use loaders? No. Not particularly. That should be enough throughput, I would hope, right? That should be enough. Specifically, if I put the seeds and the native flora on the bottom line, and then it will not matter what I have on the other lines. Not at all. Okay. The back line, for this back line, I will have as the bone meal the incubated petri dishes, as well as the blah 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 blah, something else, whatever else. That'll end up on that line, and then the seeds. And then the seeds will end up on that bottom line, along with native flora. Oh, really? The sigh. There we go. And I'm pretty sure that that is, in fact, that. 864. Yeah, that's not 3, so if I do want... I won't be able to have 1 inserter per building. I will need 2. Because it needs to swing twice. Okay, well, I think that just about covers everything. That is 5. Oh, that's the wrong thing. I need 6. What is missing? What's my take on loaders versus inserters? I will always prefer loaders for higher throughput systems, and I will tend to just use inserters when I don't need as much throughput. In circumstances where I need a lot of items into a specific thing, like this, I decided, you know what, this is just going to be more manageable with having inserters, but it could be done with loaders. The problem is it takes me longer to figure out the actual arrangement, to think about the actual arrangement, if I were to try to have, 3 lines of loaded stuffs. It's a lot more shenanigans with underground belts for that. And you can see that it is in fact taller by a tile than this. And not all buildings are big enough for that type of spacing. This one is, but whatever. It's like I don't need to have 15 items per second in a building. I don't even need 7 items per second in the building. I just need 2 or 3 of individual items. So it's like, loaders will work, or inserters will work here without as much thought behind it, and doesn't use splitters either. Bah. It is mostly just personal preference in the moment, though. Never underestimate the just do what you feel like aspect of things. That's what's missing. There we go. Okay. At least I think that's... Yes, that is exactly what I need, because I'm going to have the bone meal on its own, and the rest is shared belts. So that is all of the lines of input. There shall be 6 of them. Hey, where is it that I just had 6 inputs? Oh yeah, it was you. It was you where I just had 6 inputs. Of course, I can clear that. Such a small factory, and yet it has taken us towards the end of the stream. As intended. Wait, what? Ah. That was... None of you are shared. None. None, I say. None are shared. You're all individual items in this build. Ta-da! That's all the logistics. Ideally, finished. I just need to determine what is where. What goes where? This is a wonderful question. What goes where? I'm pretty sure that this is the native flora line. It meets up with the Relesia seed line, and it's on the internal. The second line goes up top. This is the bone meal. The third line meets up as the other shared ingredient here. This will be the urea. The fourth line is the incubated petri dishes. Or the petri dishes. The fifth line, why that happens to be ash. And the sixth line. Oh no, the fifth line is Relesia, excuse me. This is the ash, this is the Relesia. Yes, yes, this is Relesia, this is ash. Okay. Ash is stacked. Relesia is not stacked. The petri dishes are not stacked. I think. Was I looking at that correctly? I believe so. They're not stacked, but they could be stacked for the petri, but I did not at the time. Urea is where? Where is urea? Urea, and urea is stacked. Okay, that's fine. The bone meal will be stacked, and the native flora is stacked. That much I know. So this factory will not operate because I don't have bone meal. Not yet, anyway. Though I have all the stuff to do it. I just need to pay attention. Make sure that everything runs. Just make sure that everything operates outside of the missing bone meal. And everything should. Everything should. And that is that. I guess realistically speaking, I should cut the whole thing and move it, shift it down a little bit, but whatever. Oh yeah, we're in that same exact situation where my personal locomotive is in the way. Yeah, gotta get that out of the way so all of the other trains can come in. It's trying to bring in multiple loads of the native flora. Why are you not moving here? Excuse me? Why are you not able to move here? What? Meow? 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 Dolly's talking. She's speaking to me. She's speaking to me. Yeah, I don't get it. They should line up here. And yet they were just stuck back here at this guy. Weird. Get down, Dolly. Yeah, baby girl. That, I think, is that. There's all but the bone meal input done. Yeah, the native flora goes in there. Urea across in there. Petri dishes to make incubated petri dishes. Relesia making relesia, and the ash making the clay, the rich clay. So there we go. As the babies start to get a little bit more active, that means that we have reached the end of today's stream. Over the course of the day's stream, I got into producing stuff and things. Yes, how very, very specific of me. I have made stuffs, and I have made things. I need even more water barrels in this location. Thank you so very kindly, so that I can continue producing additional Ulrich. I see there are a total of 3. But yeah, I have to finish this Ulrich module placement as time goes on, and get them slaughtered for their bone meal to bring them to here for the poor alien samples, which, you know, it's a good thing that I now have those and will have them on the train network. That's one of many of these alien life intermediates that needs to get put onto the train network. One of the quote-unquote less painful of the intermediates, but still one of the intermediates that we need to get on here. Especially if I want to get these science packs online. Yeah. So between streams, as I said, I will work on getting the automation science, PyScience 1, and logistics science onto the train network. Get them built, get everything I need to build for them built, and put on the train network. So that ideally when we next meet on Tuesday, we can continue our work on PyScience 2. Ideally by moving into archons. I'm trying to think, is there something that's in here that I do not have that I will need to make? I don't believe that that is accurate. I don't believe I need anything else for this. I mean, yeah, there's the honey barrels, but I've got like the red hot coke provided. I've got like all of this stuff, or the ability to get all of this stuff together. Oleochems would be like the only thing that's different, but hey, you know, I happen to have some lard on the train network now. I don't remember if I did the nichrome. I think I did do the nichrome, so I will have that. I also have titanium, but yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm gonna stick to the titanium and not the nichrome. Nichrome is way more precious than 50 oleochems. What I would say that one nichrome is probably a bit more precious than 50 entire oleochemicals and the 150 glycerol. I will only do this if I need the glycerol. If I need the oleochems, I would rather do this. And of course, there's more oleochems in the production of the honey. Just so's we're clear on that, I think. For the making of certain things. This stuff, yeah, the empty honeycombs. We need it for the empty honeycombs to make the honey. But yeah, that's where we'll end things off. I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Show, but if you have enjoyed today's stream, please be sure to do all of the social and engagement stuff down below the video. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you've not yet subscribed, and hit the notification bell. Consider becoming a member of the channel by hitting the great big blue join button and supporting on Patreon at patreon.com/otakushow. But if you're so inclined and able, I will be back with Archods, ideally, on Tuesday. I hope to see you all then.